I bet you guys haven't suffered anything in life.
How long can a place keep its traditions?
I can survive on this land. I lived up on the mountain for 4.5 years, winters and all. I didn't buy food. I still shop the wood the old way.
The highways, fast food chains, and hotels of modern America march onward. Much of the country now looks like this. Few places can resist. But the Wild West does. In the mountains of New Mexico, they may have met their match. Northern New Mexico is one of the country's poorest region, yet we ended up in a place where people lived to be 103 despite it looking like a different century. And getting there was like traveling through time. We started in Santa Fe, New Mexico's artsy capital, which has been home to millionaires like Oprah. Its downtown boutiques sell jackets and jewelry for tens of thousands of dollars. Within minutes of heading into the mountains, though, this disappears. We first passed through the Native American Pueblo, or town of RocaNews, where people are trying to preserve the life they've lived for centuries.
For us, we value the mountains, the rivers, the landscape.
We may seem impoverished, but culturally wise and family-wise, we're very rich.
Burn wood for heat. We kind of, like I said, our houses are made out of mud. Helps keep the insulation inside, keeping it warm and all. I would say a bit of a homestead living, but being creators of a sort of sense of our own kind of beliefs, our origins, what we saw before the Americas fully formed.
19 of these pueblos exist across New Mexico, each with their own language, culture, and traditions.
So you speak Tewa?
Yes.
How does that sound?
My spiritual name is Yellow Antelope. I learned the Tewa through the Tewa language here growing up. That was my first language as a little boy. We weren't able to speak English till we got to elementary school.
Wow. How is it today? Is the language still as prevalent? Do kids still learn it as their first language?
I'm a Tewa teacher.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
wow.
I'm teaching the language.
As we climbed higher into the mountains, the traffic and businesses thinned out. Smoke rose from the houses. Everywhere, people chopped wood to heat their homes, just as they always have. Businesses and jobs here are few. Some aspects of modern life are plentiful, though.
How is it here overall? I mean, this seems like a very unique and beautiful place.
It's the same as everywhere else. If you have money, a good job, you have different things to do. The epidemic with fentanyl, it's been hitting hard in this area.
A lot of overdoses, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're ranked #1 in the country.
A lot of people here are mixed, part Hispanic, part Native. Few people are white.
Like there's like a lot of more white people buying land up there, like in the mountains, like in Truchas.
Climbing higher, you get into Spanish territory, towns whose residents trace their ancestry to the conquistadors who arrived in the 1600s. Some of these towns date to the 1500s, before the Pilgrims ever arrived on the East Coast. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe. We have a number of reports coming from New Mexico, including from the border, Albuquerque's war zone, and cowboy country. Don't miss those. Spanish descendants still speak New Mexican Spanish, a Spanish dialect that's related to the Spanish of the 1500s.
Is the Spanish spoken here, isn't there a unique like New Mexican Spanish?
Yeah, it's different. My grandpa was born here, my great-grandpa was born here, so we've been like here forever. A lot of people think like just because you're Spanish or whatever that you're Mexican, but it's not. It's like two different things. Growing up, my dad told me that we wouldn't need Spanish because we're gonna grow up like in the white world and this and that, and so they never taught us. On his last few months or whatever, all he talked to me was in Spanish.
Really?
Yeah, and he never did when growing up.
At 200-year-old churches like this one, the language remains in common use. Yet the Spanish culture is evolving too. The city of Española claims to be the lowrider capital of the world. When we stopped on a dirt road outside of it to buy tortillas, we met a man who said we had to meet his brother.
So we just pulled down this dirt road here to see what was going on, and we saw a sign for tortillas for sale. We ended up, turns out it's a 15-year-old girl selling them, and she didn't have any tortillas. However, her uncle, this guy Matt, said his brother lives up the road, has a bunch of lowriders, and might want to be in our video. So now we're following Matt up the road here. I mean, how many years of cars do you have in here?
The age range? Yeah. The oldest one in the back garage over there, a project, is probably about a 1938 Buick.
Wow.
And that ranges from there till, what's my newest one, like a 2010, 12 maybe.
What's up with the lowrider culture?
Pretty much customizing cars to make them your own personal works of art, really, is what they are. Around here, it's hard to find anyone that does any other work. So everyone does their own work, really, or you learn a special talent. And one guy becomes a painter over the years, and then that's the guy that people take their cars to. Another guy does interior. So there's your hydraulics type setup.
So how does it work? What's happening when you do that?
So you have tons of batteries that send a lot of power to the hydraulic pumps.
You guys grew up with this.
Yeah.
Like this is part of the culture. You're a kid here and you're seeing this.
Yeah. When we were kids, all we could do was look. So now when there's kids at car shows, I'll let them get in the cars, I'll take them for a ride, I'll hit the switches, get them addicted so that they want to continue the culture.
There are few expensive homes here. Most people live in trailers, but people told us that's because they find wealth not in property, but in community and family. Lowriders are valued significantly and are passed through generations.
Back in the day, the lowriders had a bad reputation of being gang-related or whatever. And now you'll see my daughters driving cars. It's all family-oriented. I'm in here. This was my first car. This one's a 48 Chevy.
Oh, wow. They don't make them like this anymore. Low Skies, is that your brand?
That's our car club.
Car club.
But it's pretty much all the family and close friends. So I have 3 daughters and I have 3 little girls cruising the convertible all over town.
So $100,000 for one of these brand new?
No, the way it is right now, yeah.
Wow.
$1 million in cars. Yeah, really. As long as my girls are addicted like I am, where they don't want to get rid of them. I know they don't. That's my happiness, I guess, because a lot of times that's a scary part. Is somebody has a car and your worry is once you die, the kids or whatever don't see the value in it. They just want the money and they just sell it. So that's one worry for someone like myself. But I'm glad because my girls will keep it forever.
Everyone told us that the most traditional Spanish culture was high in the mountains, so we kept driving up. And the higher we drove, the more rugged it got. Some homes didn't have electricity or running water. We passed some that still have outhouses.
I mean, this is one of the most...
There's just no place like it. There's a lot of really awesome states in this country and there's a lot of awesome places in the world, but there's nowhere else that I'd rather live growing up here and traveling and coming back.
These towns have lost many of their young people. They often go to Los Alamos, a nearby city with a nuclear research lab. Others, like Jerome, go to Albuquerque, New Mexico's only large city, and come back to help family.
But no, my grandparents live up here. My parents live down in Chimel. My mom's up here today. And but I come up here all the time to help them with stuff.
Almost everyone we spoke to here brought up drugs.
Modern life is a little complicated because there's also drugs. Where isn't there drugs? But that's also something that is a part of being here too. I would say, growing up, probably heroin was one of the biggest issues. You have things like fentanyl and pills. Those are things that everyone's dealing with.
Yeah.
But it's just something that's kind of been a part of the community here too. You know what? Growing up in a community like this really affords you the opportunity to be out in nature. And I think it really just depends on the individual. I live in Albuquerque, I work in Albuquerque, I have a lab job, I really like what I do. I'm 36, my brother's 46, he's 10 years older than me. Same house, same parents. He's a fentanyl addict, he's got his own issues.
Like in the Rust Belt, people say addiction stems from a lack of opportunity, and opportunity is clearly scarce in towns like this, which have no paved roads and hardly any businesses.
This is definitely one of the more unique towns we've ever been in the country, and it just doesn't necessarily even look like what we think of as the U.S. And there's the smell of fire. It's cold. We're up in the mountains. It's very quiet. Everything here is heated by firewood. The houses are made out of a kind of like brick and mud thing. It's a very distinct feeling.
In many places, only the elderly remain.
This is my brother's house.
Oh, wow.
Back. My brother is paralyzed, and I have to take care of him. Well, my grandpa was an Indian.
Really?
Well, we're mixed up, Indian. We're Trujillos. We're Indians and Spanish.
But here they speak a different Spanish, right?
Oh, yeah.
New Mexican Spanish.
Mexican, yeah.
How's your Spanish different from that Spanish?
I don't know. They're from Mexico. We're from here.
Were you born here?
Oh, yeah. 70 years old.
You are? You look great for 70.
Hey, I look very good now.
You look great,
yeah. Everybody tell me, if you take care of yourself, it's good. But if you're not taking care of yourself, everybody drugs.
Has it always been that way?
No, in the 80s. the cocaine and heroin came through his town. Boom, everybody was going down.
I imagine a lot of people would want to live here. I mean,
But there's no more people here, you know, they're down.
Yeah.
That's the drug. Oh, no, only the older people, the young ones died. They wouldn't die.
Once you get high enough in the mountains, though, something shifts. You start to see Teslas, estates, art galleries, the arrival of Californians, Texans, and modern America in one of the country's few untouched corners.
When I grew up, probably 700, so most people raise their crops and they pay the crops for fruit from down below. Now it's changed. Everybody buys everything out of the store, no problem. No, hardly anybody plants anymore.
People are moving in now from California and Texas and everything?
Yeah, a lot of people run property up here. Like this house was built a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's changed too much. You know, this is all the sections belongs to families here. It's my brother, my sister, and my two aunts.
This is your family's land.
Yeah, I was born to and raised 12 brothers and sisters.
This man spent his life in these mountains. He said he'd suffered in them, lived off them, and now is watching them change. Suffering and poverty have been the way of life in this neglected part of the country, he said.
They're gone. I lost my dad when I was in the service in the Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. Then I lost my mom in '77 from cancer. So it's been a rough life. I bet you guys haven't suffered anything in life. I mean, you probably come from a family who was pretty well off in a way. I grew up, we were very poor, to tell you the truth. A pair of pants to go to school, a pair of pants to use here when I got back from school and get to feed the animals. There was no toys for Christmas that nowadays can. All the kids have it made. Before they finished high school, they bought them a car, and they don't appreciate it. My dad used to say, if you earn $1, get a quarter for yourself and save 75 cents. At the end of the year, you watch out how much money you save. And it's true, but the money had value. Your dollar nowadays is worth 16 cents. And it's going to get worse. All governments are crooks, in my opinion, because these dirty politicians that enter office, they come from billionaires. They don't know what it is to suffer. They don't care about the poor people. There's no middle classes now, or poor people, or you're either rich or poor, and that's it.
Yet the mountains' poverty coexists with beauty, culture, and ways of life that exist nowhere else.
See people over here, 100, 103, 105. You know, the older folks, I'm already 80. My sister's 90.
You're how old?
80.
You're 80?
Yeah.
What the? Wait, people here live to be 103, 105?
Well, the older folks, it depends on what you eat. This lady that lives back there on that red house, she's close to 100. And Nelson Martinez is 97 now. Very simple. Yeah. Mother Nature provides everything you need. I make my medicine out of plants. I don't believe in doctors. See, all the kids learn how to work here. I used to milk cows. We had hogs, we had goats, we had horses. And then we raised all the crops. So what do you need?
How much of that life is left?
Not much. Not much. Everything's gone.
Northern New Mexico remains a place that feels unconquered by mainstream America, a Wild West Appalachia with all the good and bad that comes with it. Threatened by drugs, poverty, and technology, though, it may not be that way for long. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe. This is just the first of a number of videos from New Mexico. Our next ones will come from Albuquerque's war zone, the border, and cowboy country.